Okay, now for those of you used to my channel, I have normally done game commentary and guides on World of Tanks and a few videos on Fallout 4. Now upcoming, I'm going to add in another little hobby that I have, which as you can see in front of you is Nerf. Those of you who have came to the channel maybe because you've searched this video, what I'm going to do here is basically take one of these, which, as you can see, is a Nerf Mega Bigshock. This is the smallest of the Mega line. It's a single shot pistol that, of course, fires Mega darts. One shot in and fire. Simple pistol that, whether or not you're familiar with, gets its lineage from the old original orange Jolt. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, it has a secret, and I'll reveal it here in just a second. For this guide, the premise is I wanted it to be a Bigshock, bought off the shelf, and converted to fire regular elite darts with parts that are also available widely through multiple buyers or multiple sellers, to where you can buy it anywhere you want and do this yourself quickly, easily, without having to do customization to the gun. And also, the process could be reversed if for some reason you decided you wanted to. So, for this guide, which is more of a conversion than a true mod guide, what you will need is, I'm going to move this Bigshock out of the way. You need a Bigshock. I have one fresh in the package, so you can see that it has not been touched. I haven't even opened it, and you'll see me actually open this on camera here in a second. Also, you'll need, in this case, an Orange ModWorks spring. This one is listed in their website as being compatible with a Bigshock, and even the little grip shot that is in the Modulus line. I have a couple of those myself, but it's also compatible with the Recon, the MK2 version, that's the new one for the Modulus line, and the old standby, the Retaliator. As you can see also, the Ion Fire, future video there. I have an Ion Fire, I actually quite like that for quick little impromptu battles. It's only a single shot little pistol, but it can be so much more. And I'll get to that in a different video. But what we're going to do is, of course, that's one installation part. And the real kicker to the whole thing, to make it easy and reversible, you need a worker Mega to standard adapter. As you can see, they call it a modify switch barrel adapter. It says works with Bigshock. This is the A9314 model. You need to know that part number when ordering off of, I got this off of Amazon. You can get it elsewhere, but the A9314. That part number means it's designated to work with the Bigshock. They do also make these for the Roto Fury and the Cyclone Shock, which I own one of each of those, and I will not be modifying those because in the games we play, Megas count as worth double. For most everybody here where we play, it's 2 hits for an elite dart to get you out, 1 hit for a Mega. So Megas definitely have their place. This is what I'm wanting to do, is to convert one of, as you can see, one of my 3 Bigshocks. I happen to like this pistol quite a lot. One of the 3 to be a long-range snapshotting pistol. So that's what I'll be doing. So move these out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and open up this Bigshock. Loosen it from its package. Okay. Now, I'll worry about those darts later. Simple thing to start with, we're going to minimize the Bigshock, which means I will take these screws out real fast. Now, the big secret, if you want to be really bad with puns, the big shocking secret is that, I'll lay this here for a reason, when you pull the shell of the Bigshock off, you have a big jolt. That's all this is a big jolt. Is a really big jolt. Now, for my purposes, I'm going to leave it this way. So I do not need this. I'm going to save that shell and the screws. They're going to be spares, basically. But as you can see, my old original Jolt here, I have actually a few of these original orange ones, but it shoots elites. Shoots elites just fine. This still shoots megas. Okay, so now we have, right now, a little Jolt and a big Jolt. I'll set the little one off. It'll show up later in the video. Now, what tools you might need. Again, of course, you need the screwdriver. Now, for the rest of this, a smattering of pliers will be needed for the way that I am going to remove and reinstall the spring. We're going to save the worker part for last. Now, best way to get one of these apart, hold this tab right here and work the screws. Now it has a non-removable plunger head that is already pre-cushioned. Don't need to worry about cushioning it. It's already good to go. Now, non-removable. I've seen people who rip this off because it is a press fit. This metal stud has a post on the back of it that is, it has ribs all the way down that when it's pushed in, it locks into place and holds it. But you can rip it out, and some people will tap the plastic rod here and put a screw in. I am not going to do that. My specific statement was I want this to be a non-hacking, cutting, modifying type quick mod guide. Just the two parts. The orange ModWorks spring, worker adapter, so that somebody who is just simply new to the basics, which I still myself am fairly new, just so you can quickly do this. Now, keep in mind, the adapter itself makes this pistol perform quite well. But for this, I want to show a big shock that can be used also back with Megas at higher performance. So what I'm going to do, take some needle nose pliers. This is the stock spring, and this takes a little bit of effort, because these springs are quite stiff. Okay, and success at last. Little bend, but still usable. Might have to clip that off, but this is actually still usable, so not ruined. That could actually be used to double up on another one. Now, the more difficult part, because this spring is stiffer. And there we go. Now it was done in real time, so you know already that was a bit of a fight. I'll speed it up, and here will be where we come back to. Luckily with editing, I will speed up that section of the video for you. Now that it's safely on, I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall this. It's still quite well lubed, and now that that's back in place, I can go ahead and I'm going to push the plunger down as much as I can and get this cushion worked back in. And all you have to do is get it in place, and there's a couple little notches there and there. Okay, now we have our worker part to put in. Orange ModWorks spring is already installed, so that's a 7 kilo spring. Now, like I said, that is still quite well lubricated. and all I need to do now is go ahead and reinstall. So when you reinstall this, pull the trigger. Again, if you haven't worked with a Jolt, there's a little catch right here. Use my screwdriver so my finger doesn't get in the way. This catch moves out of the way when you pull the trigger. Very simple system. Let's go ahead and place this back in. Now, this will be significantly harder to put back in than it was to remove. This close to my body to make it easier because I'm doing this left-handed. That's what I've done now. While holding close to my body, I put in opposites and I tightened them across. Now I will do the same to the other two. I'll tighten down one and then the other. Okay. Now, in the second portion of the video, I will do firing range test, and I will do this both with Mega Darts and Elite. So I'll be able to pop that adapter in and out. That thing in and of itself would be worth a video. But now, we have our modified Super Jolt. Right now it would still be firing Megas. So right now it would just be a high performance Bigshock. Now, the whole thing of the worker adapter, or barrel reducer like I like to call it, is it's sized to fit and cut to length for the model of gun. So specifically the Mega Bigshock. You take your removal plug. This is a removal plug. It is threaded. The end of the barrel is threaded. You can tighten this in, and using the attached little lanyard, you pop the adapter right out. Now, you can press this in and tap it in. It's flush, and now it fits Elites. Simple as that. And like I said, at a moment's notice, if for some reason you want to remove it, you can start it gently by finger, and I just simply turn this around it, and out comes your barrel adapter. Back to Mega. Now you wouldn't want to do that a lot. It's not something you would say carry around with you in your pocket and do it non-stop, because eventually the barrel fit is not going to be as good anymore. You know, just from the stresses. But you can shove this in if you're strong enough by hand, and if you're willing to hammer it in by hand, I prefer to do that. It's, as long as you're willing to tolerate that, very soft, protects your new, basically, Super Jolt. I mean, now this thing has a 7 kilo spring and fires Elites. Now, you do not need to do an AR removal. For those new to it, air restrictor. This automatically holds the Bigshock has a air restrictor that's sized for Mega Darts, meaning the diameter of those little prongs on the air restrictor, the little push tabs, they're meant to touch the back end of this dart. So the OD of this dart, outer diameter, is meant to touch the 3 little prongs. Well, just so happens that is what this is currently doing right now. So do not dry fire this, meaning don't pull the plunger and fire it with nothing in it, because now there is no air being restricted. It is a direct flow straight out right now. So only fire it with an Elite dart in. And that is basically what we will do next. Okay, out here to do range tests. We're going to compare standard original orange Jolt. I'm actually going to also throw in the adapter. As you can see here, get up close. The adapter's in the stock Bigshock. This is the stock, one of my spare Bigshocks. And then I'm going to take the adapter out and throw it in our modified gun. So now we're going to go ahead and do some firing using all Nerf Elite darts. I will fire standard blue, then I'll fire the Zombie Strike green and the Doomlands orange, but they all are brand new Nerf Elite. So we're going to start out with our original orange Jolt, firing the blue darts. We'll take 5 shots, and then I'll switch to the stock Bigshock with the worker adapter. I'm going to shoot level shots. The cones are at 25-foot intervals, and we'll fire 5 shots. There's 5 shots with the regular Jolt with the Elite darts. Now we're going to switch to the Bigshock. This is a stock Bigshock again with the worker Mega to Elite adapter. I'm going to fire 5 shots using the Zombie Strike green darts. Again, brand new darts, just taken out of the package. I've been saving them for this. Now I'm going to pop the adapter out and stick it in what I'm nicknaming the Super Jolt. That will have both the worker adapter and the Orange ModWorks 7 kilogram spring. And we'll see what kind of performance it gets. Now this will be the second time I've range tested all 3 of these setups. So we'll see if it's as consistent as it was off screen before the filming. And there we are. We'll go check them out real quick. Okay, first Elite dart from the regular Jolt is at 24 feet. And then we have 4 all around in the 34, 36. Get that in. Farthest one this time was at 38 feet. I also had a second one at 38 feet, or roundabout, about 6 inches short. That was the regular Jolt. Now, this will be the Bigshock firing the Zombie Strike darts. First one was at about 47 feet and 2 or 3 inches. And the second one over here at around about 48. These aren't exact figures, it's more of just giving you an idea. At 51 feet. And we had one flyer that sailed a long ways, and as you can see there, here's the dart, 3 inches shy of 68 feet. We've stumbled into our first couple of the Doomlands darts, which is fired by the Super Jolt, and they were dead on at 64 feet. One was an inch short, one was an inch long. Now here's our third Doomlands. We're going to walk straight over. And dead in the middle between 69 and 70 feet. Our fourth Doomlands. Again, that's the Super Jolt. Firing at 73 feet, and this is into the wind. Okay, now I took the adapter out of the stock Bigshock. We're going to fire 5 Mega darts out of this. And just for the heck of it, we're going to fire 5 Mega darts also out of my modified Bigshock. Okay, back here after the range test. What I have found was with the windy conditions, I fired some more afterwards because I actually got a little break and the wind died down. The Jolt doesn't fire at high enough velocity or far enough ranges for the wind to affect it much. It didn't really gain anything when I fired it a few more times, and that was in groups of 5. I fired it a couple more groups of 5. Didn't really gain anything. I was a little surprised because typically weaker firearms can be affected by wind because they're shooting at such lower velocity. But I'm guessing just quite simply this thing didn't fire at far enough ranges to be as affected. It still fired in the mid 30s to 40s. And I'm not going to give exact specific average, because that could vary just based on how tall you are, if there is wind or not, like I'm talking about, or luck of the draw. Dart fit could even matter. All the darts I used were new. I'd saved them for this video, but that can affect it. But typically you're going to expect, 30 to 40 foot range out of a Nerf Elite dart, out of a Jolt. I'll set that aside. Now, with the worker adapter in this was affected by the wind. It gained an extra 5 or 10 feet per 5-shot group, and that was just due to the fact that it was shooting at decent ranges. I mean, it was shooting between 40 to 55 or so. I mean, we had a number of different times that I fired it, but typically between 40 to 55 is what I got all around, wind or no wind. And it started to shoot more into the mid 50s rather than kind of hovering around the high 40s. The one that was really affected was my so-called Super Jolt. This thing was firing, hitting around 70s, no problem. It was firing 60, 70 feet flat going into the wind. When the wind died down, I had at least 4 shots go past 100 feet. And I'm not talking about just plopping over the 100-foot mark. I had one, my tape measure is only 100 foot long, but I had one that easily exceeded that by 15 feet. I won't go by it necessarily because of the fact that that could just be 4 really good fitting darts, because the Doomlands darts that I used, they are Nerf Elite darts, but they seem to fit very well. Now, just to get back to the basics, the Super Jolt was simply my idea to make a big Jolt out of the Mega Bigshock, because I happen to love the Jolt so much. It's a neat little pistol, been around forever, at least for me, and after pulling apart a Bigshock, I knew that once I had to do something like this. But simple parts, off the shelf. If you want to replicate this, go buy a Mega Bigshock. They retail for $8 in local Walmarts. $10 I've seen it at Target. So $8 to $10 should be where you find a stock Bigshock. On Amazon, I found the worker adapter for $10. And I also got the Orange Mod Works spring from Amazon. I'll put the links in the description below. You can do this for yourself. Orange Mod Works springs range from $8 to $11 currently. So basically, for this, kind of an easy to do modification, and you can do it for under $30. And like I said, completely reversible. You can fire the Megas out of it. In my testing, the Megas were pretty dependent on wind, but I was able to push plenty of these things out to the 50 to 70 foot mark, which is pretty good. That's substantially higher. That's a bonus of about 15 feet compared to a stock Bigshock's range with the Mega Darts. But again, I will put all the links. If you need a link to the Bigshock, I'll even throw one in there. But I'm going to call this the Super Jolt. But this is MongooseJake. It's my first Nerf mod guide, or conversion, whatever you would prefer to call it. Leave comments below. It is my first, so give some feedback. I will look at every comment, and if you have anything that you'd like to see, I will put up my so-called arsenal video. Seems like everybody does one of those. I will put one of those up, and if you see something in there that you want to see some work done on, let me know. I've got a couple projects I'm going to do, and if you like my style of doing these things, let me know. I will go by the feedback and make adjustments. But again, this is MongooseJake. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.